my name is Damien. I'm the co-founder of SocialSuite, and SocialSuite is a technology platform that's used by a diverse range of organizations to monitor their impact on people. And we were founded 5 years ago, and we work with a lot of different organizations, from corporates to foundations to not-for-profits, helping them monitor their impact and helping them make sure that they're contributing to the United Nations SDGs. So why measure impact? It's really something that we've been asking a lot, and what we've discovered is that organizations are now expected to be accountable to everyone they affect. So it's not only organizations expected to be accountable to shareholders, but you have to be accountable to customers, employees, communities, and the environment. And the reason for this is because if you're an organization, you're a big corporate, and you have bad corporate responsibility, then people won't want to buy from you. Customers will leave and they won't spend money with you, and you'll find it very hard to recruit the best young employees, because young people don't want to go and work for a company that's being seen to be causing issues in society or causing issues to the environment. And if company boards, especially for publicly listed companies, are making representations to the public about the impact they're having, whether it's positive or neutral or not negative, they have to have the data to back up that they're actually having if they're claiming to be contributing to the SDGs, they need the proper data to back up these claims. So we believe that reporting impact will be as important as reporting financial performance in the future. Today we'll focus a bit on corporates and philanthropy and how they work with their community partners and how they provide funding to not-for-profits. So corporates, we've got a statistic that 86% of consumers expect that corporate social responsibility is a key part of the organizations they either work for or that they make purchases from. So the problem, it sounds great to measure impact and to contribute to the SDGs and share it with the community and shareholders and stakeholders, but the problem is that impact measurement is difficult. So we've got three key stakeholder groups here that we're working with, and we look at funders. So funders is like corporates who have community partners through their corporate social responsibility programs, government that funds community services, foundations that fund not-for-profits. They'll want to measure impact and monitor impact against SDGs often, because they want to make sure that they're deploying cash in the most effective manner to have the most positive social impact. Then we've got impact experts, and this is consultancies, it's measurement and evaluation experts, anyone who designs a set of metrics to help organizations measure if they're having a positive impact. And then we've got change makers. These are not-for-profits, NGOs, charities, and they're trying to do good work in the community, but they just find it difficult when they're burdened with the requirement to collect impact data and collect this metric data. It's very difficult for them to do it. So our vision at SocialSuite is a future where organizations use technology to report impact as effectively as they report financial performance. So we all know that organizations, whether it's a not-for-profit or a corporate or an enterprise, every 3 months they report their financial performance, but we want to see that happen with impact data. So the solution that we've developed at SocialSuite is an impact management platform. It's a software as a service platform with an online marketplace of expert design metrics to measure and report impact, which allows funders, as I said before, the corporates and the philanthropic funds and government, to use social impact reports to better deploy capital. Change makers can easily collect and report impact data, and anyone who's developed a set of impact measurement metrics can easily deliver these metrics to be collected by the change makers and used by the funders. So we've all seen technology for monitoring financial performance. I'm sure many of you who are operating in a business or are responsible for reporting monthly or quarterly or yearly financial performance or business KPIs, you would have seen some of these softwares. SocialSuite is a technology for monitoring impact on people and on communities. So the Sustainable Development Goals have been around for almost a decade now, and we've we see about $1 trillion is spent every year around the world trying to achieve these sustainable development goals. But how do we know that any of that is actually having any kind of the desired impact with all this money being spent? So how SocialSuite works is we've got an impact metrics marketplace where we've curated impact measurement metrics, which are either the SDGs or expert design metrics for any sector. And these are from experts like universities and consultancies or experts from around the world. These metrics are all available in a marketplace where any organization can use them and start collecting impact data. Collecting the impact data is done by frontline staff or your community partners or your employees or anyone really. It can be done through a fully integrated mobile app or electronic surveys or any other kind of data collection method. Then you've got your impact dashboards, which you can have a very consolidated view of the impact that you're having against the metrics, and you can compare and benchmark against other organizations that are similar to yourself. So some of the organizations types, SocialSuite is used by organizations around the world, specifically around corporates, philanthropy. The majority of the users of SocialSuite to monitor their impact are charities and not-for-profits, and they usually report the effectiveness of their community initiatives up to the corporates and philanthropic funds. And we've also got users in impact investing and government. And I'll cover a couple of case studies of how corporates use SocialSuite at the end of the presentation. So SocialSuite is built on the Salesforce platform, but you don't need to be a Salesforce user to use it. And we've got access to many of the companies around the world that use Salesforce to be able to use SocialSuite. So I'm just going to go into a quick demonstration. We've not been able to do a live demonstration in this session, but I'll just cover off with a few screenshots about how SocialSuite works. So if you're a philanthropic fund, a government, or a corporate, a company, a listed company, and you've got hundreds of community partners that you're making grants to or supporting as a partner, in SocialSuite you can manage all of your social investments and help your community partners to be able to collect impact data and report it back to you. You can choose from the set of impact metrics you want. You can see here we've got sustainable development goals and all of the major types of impact metrics we've curated, so you can have it all in one area and choose the one that's specific to your organization, whether you're a corporate or a charity. Once you've chosen your impact measurement metrics, SocialSuite allows you to collect the information over time based on specific outcomes that you're seeking to monitor. And then you can track over time how your corporate initiatives with your partners are actually able to effectively contribute towards whatever metrics you've chosen, including the SDGs, if that's what you want to do. You can then collect the impact data and monitor whether the information is being collected. I'm sure anyone who's done a financial report knows that if the finances and invoices and pay slips and everything is missing, it makes it very difficult to create a report. So what we do with SocialSuite is we monitor whether that data has been collected or not, and then you can chase people who haven't provided the data. Impact data collection methods, fully integrated into SocialSuite. We've got mobile app, electronic surveys, data entry form, and community pages. So no matter what kind of situation you're in, whether it's collecting information from your employees or your consumers, or collecting information from a not-for-profit in another country where there's no internet and low literacy levels, SocialSuite can accommodate that data collection. We can then monitor the information to see each individual and how they're performing and whether they're contributing as we've expected. And then finally, we can look at the impact dashboard. So you can see here the dashboard we're looking at. This is for a corporate, which I'll cover in a case study in a second. And you can see they've reached 20 million people with their initiatives through their corporate partners. They've totally invested $21 million. They've done 2,000 different initiatives through their community partners. And you can see how they're tracking against the SDGs of no poverty and no hunger. And you can then, in this interactive map, you can click and drill in to figure out which of your community partners or your grantees, anyone that you're providing funding to help work towards the SDGs, they're collecting and reporting data back, so you can see very clearly who is contributing the most, and then you can divert your funding or divert grants to the most effective solutions. We've also got the ability to take longitudinal data, so you can collect a baseline set of information, collect 3 month, 6 month, and 9 month information, or any kind of time points that you set, and you can collect observations from multiple stakeholders. So you can figure out very quickly a collective opinion from everyone on what impact is actually being achieved. And then finally, we can also look at impact investing. So impact investing has a different aspect to it. It's got some financial components that we can also measure, but ultimately tying it back to the SDGs. So just a couple of case studies. I'm going to focus more on the corporate side of things. I understand there's corporate social responsibilities is of interest in this situation, in this conference. And Bendigo Bank is the 5th largest bank in Australia. They're a top 20 AS listed company on our stock exchange. And the model of Bendigo Bank is they've got franchisee branches in rural communities in Australia, and the branches donate half of their profit to community programs. So there's 300 branches of Bendigo Bank. Each branch funds between 5 and 30 different community programs, from sporting programs, from gyms, fixing roads, anything in the community that the community needs. The branch will donate the money to help it to different charities and not-for-profits. So the head of the banks and the leadership wanted to see across 300 different branches funding between 5 to 30 different organisations, what was the impact being achieved. So Bendigo Bank commissioned Deloitte to create a set of financial impact metrics and community outcomes, and then SocialSuite was engaged to create or to structure the system for them to be able to collect this data on a long-term basis and have a live view of the impact that they were having across the different branches and the community members. To go into IAG, IAG is one of the largest insurance companies in Australia, and they want to monitor their corporate social responsibility is focused around, because they're an insurance company, and when there's disasters or when people get hurt, they pay premiums to help fix the situation. So what they want to do is fund community partners. I think they've got 100 plus different charities and not-for-profits that they work with, that they provide donations and grants to, with the ultimate business goal that by people taking less risks and creating education in the community, but also fixing community issues, that the insurance company will have to pay less premiums. So they want to contribute positively to the community, but there's also a business value in IAG doing so. So IAG uses SocialSuite to monitor whether their community partnerships are actually increasing people's understanding of risk-taking behaviour and reducing risk, and whether the organisations they fund to help with cleaning up disaster damage are actually having a positive impact. So the final example is a foundation, which is quite an interesting example. This foundation has worked with 180 organisations in 20 different countries, and they've developed a set of metrics to measure the eradication of poverty. So it's 50 indicators that measure the different aspects of poverty, and each family that they work with through the 180 partner organisations, they take a monthly measure to see how each family is slowly progressing out of poverty. And they use SocialSuite to collect this information from the ground level, from the families and the case managers, and they roll it up into an organizational level dashboard and then roll it up into a global level dashboard. And it's fascinating because they can see all of the different, they see the different countries and how each country, where the problem areas are, and how they can deploy cash to fix hot areas where the issues are. So that's the case studies that I wanted to cover. I guess the final point, I'm not sure how I'm doing for time, but what we've done, I don't think we can get through a presentation without mentioning the COVID situation that's affected us all. But what we've done as SocialSuite is we're actually giving away our software for the purpose of organisations to measure the impact on their staff and beneficiaries of COVID-19. It's the response that we've had to the crisis. And we're also collating the information that every organisation collects about how they're responding to COVID, what's working for them, and how it's helping, and sharing it with every organisation that contributes to this dashboard. So I've got a link here if anyone wants to to utilise this free assessment. Please feel free to share it. I'm just going to put it in the chat room. Let me know if that's come through. And yeah, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you take advantage of the software.
Thank you. Just a question, because this year the UN called all members to step up on their game in measuring and stepping up the game in social, in all of the 17 goals. And have you seen a rise in the interest in Australia or the companies worldwide, maybe that you're working with as well? Have you seen any differences between this year and last year that they're really stepping up this game?
Yes, definitely. So 5 years ago, everyone was talking, and there was many conferences and people were presenting, but no one was really doing anything yet. And we were worried because we have this software product, and the interest was there, and people would discuss it, but no one would actually take any action. But what's happening now, and especially it's been very accelerated in the last 2 months, we've actually never been so busy, because organizations, like we're an impact measure monitoring software, and the whole world's just been impacted by COVID-19, and any organization that had an evidence base for what kind of programs or services would help people now can't deliver the similar programs and services because they were face-to-face. And it's really made everyone realize how important communities and organizations have definitely had to really consider their impact monitoring, and the SDGs are just the most well-known and well-established that it's become much more important at a board level at organizations. It's gone from a nice to have to this is a top 3 issue. So it's yes, in the last 2 years, but especially in the last 2 months.
Even with the coronavirus, you see that the companies are not straying off this path. They're still on track, and they are still working towards these goals.
I think so, because companies, it's what we've seen, companies need to be conscious of their community, because if people aren't seeing companies as being taking care of community members in this time, then they will remember that, and they won't spend money with them, and they won't want to work with them. So I think it's actually become more important, not only as a public relations exercise, but actually as a real business driver.
Right. And would you say that the most popular tool that your clients and the companies and all the agents are on the market you're working with is the SDGs measurement tool, or others are more popular?
It depends, because the SDGs can have a lot of consultancies will design specific indicators and metrics to collect that feed into the SDGs. So everyone likes the SDGs because they're a very nice way to organize the impact that you have, but poverty can be very, very complex, and there's a lot of different indicators that feed it. So I think the SDGs are really great, and the organizations we work with, they like to wrap the SDGs around the impact, but they'll often have either indicators and data collection methods that they've created to help feed it specifically for their situation.
Mm-hmm. And just the last question, would you say that the organizations you work with are, most of them are Australian based, or is it spread evenly worldwide? How would you describe your
it's most
spread?
Of our revenue comes from overseas. So we've got many Europe, US, South America, Asia now. We've got a few customers. The larger customers are in Australia because we've been here the longest and it's our home place. But in the last 2 years, we've had interest from all around the world and have customers. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, looking forward to more from you. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Thank you.